Well, guess I'm going broke this year.
Then I still don't got no brake lights. Yeah, feeling super fly. I look in the mirror, see ambition in my eyes. Got more than one formula, they love the way I drive. Yeah, you better go figure, go figure. Try and get a big stack in my bag. Yeah, you know I'm getting to it. It's like that, Hey.
Canon just announced what is quite possibly the best wedding videography and photography lens that's ever been made. A 24-105 f2.8 lens is literally something I've wanted since I started shooting live events, and until yesterday, I kind of thought it would never exist. I just want to talk about the lens, the specs, the pros, the cons, comparisons to other lenses. Canon didn't send me a lens, so everything I'm saying is just my opinion after watching the various announcement videos and initial reviews. Right off the bat, this is an incredible focal range. 24-105 is basically the perfect focal range for event photography and videography. You can get those wide establishing shots, but also punch in really tight to get more intimate shots and details. I think that you could 100% shoot an entire wedding exclusively with this lens on your main camera. I've been doing this all year with my EF 24-105 f4 and the C70 speed booster. The only time I need more than 105 millimeters is for my stationary ceremony angles and for reception speeches. But I keep that 24-105 on my A camera all day. One thing to consider is using this lens on crop sensor bodies like the Canon C70. On that camera, this is going to become more of a 35-155 millimeter lens, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you're not going to get those 24 millimeter wide angle shots. For that, you're still going to need something like a 15-35 or something similar. What makes this such an amazing lens though is the f2.8 aperture. We're finally getting the better low light performance and shallower depth of field with the 24-105 focal range. The other really nice feature is the image stabilization. There's 5 stops of IS built into the lens, which is actually kind of incredible when you start looking at other lens manufacturers and realize just how few of them actually have IS built into their lenses. Sigma's 24-70, Sony's 24-70 and 16-35, Tamron's 35-150, none of these have IS built into the lens. And as someone who uses a camera that doesn't have IBIS, I really value a lens with good image stabilization. There's also a declicked aperture ring, 2 custom buttons, and the option to mount a lens control module. And of course, the control ring that's on all of the new RF lenses. Which is cool, but I don't personally care that much about those things. I do really like the 2 custom buttons. Anything that I can customize is great. The aperture ring is cool, but it's also lame that you can't put it into like a clicked mode. It's just permanently declicked. And the lens control module, I couldn't care less about. I'll never use that, and I don't think it's made for people like me. Another nice thing about this is the internal zooming, which means it's got better weather and dust sealing since the barrel doesn't extend. The size and weight of this lens is really the only thing that I'm like disappointed in. It's big. The length is 7.8 inches or 199 millimeters, and the weight comes in at 2.9 pounds or 1,330 grams. I wasn't able to find out if that's the weight with the tripod foot attached or not, so I'm just going to assume that that's the weight without the foot. Now to me, those numbers mean basically nothing, so I've prepared some visual aids to help us. The length is almost exactly the same as the old EF 70-200, and it's almost the same length as the new RF 70-200 when it's fully extended. Actually, it's pretty much exactly that. So this. It's also the exact same diameter as both of these. As for weight, it kind of sits right in between the RF and EF 70-200. The old EF weighs 1,480 grams, and the newer RF weighs 1,070 grams. The new 24-105 is 1,330 grams, which just so happens to be the equivalent of gaff taping a Pelican branded SD card case full of SD cards to an RF 70-200 with the tripod collar attached. So if you're wanting to know how big and how heavy the new 24-105 is going to be, all you need to do is grab your camera and put the RF 70-200 on there with the tripod collar attached, and then just, gaff tape a SD card case on top. Very simple. And then also fully extend it, because that's how long it is. Stupidly long. It's very dumb. I hate this so much. The old EF 70-200 is only about 150 grams heavier though, without the tripod collar. So if you have this lens, it's gonna feel very similar to this. I think for me, the biggest benefits to this lens are the focal range and the stabilization. This is basically the perfect second shooter lens for me. I shoot on C70s, so this lens would end up being a 35 to 155, which is actually kind of perfect for my second shooter. It lets them get nice and tight for things like first look or just getting more intimate shots during portraits. But they can also come out wider to capture some cocktail hour or get some B-roll shots. Because this lens has such a great focal range, I would just have them stay on this lens the entire day and never have to worry about changing lenses. And then I can stick a 15 to 35 on my camera for those wide shots. From what I've seen in early reviews, the stabilization looks really great. According to Canon, it's on par with the 24 to 70 and 15 to 35, and I've heard very good things about the stabilization on those lenses. As with everything though, there are cons. The size and weight of this thing is the biggest issue for me. It's not like a crazy massive lens or anything, but it is big. And that's especially annoying for me since I'm already using quite a large camera body. I was so excited when Canon released the RF 70-200 because it was so dramatically smaller and lighter than the EF version. And now it kind of just feels like I'm going back to the old EF one because of how big and bulky this new 24 to 105 is. If Canon made a secondary version of this lens that was more compact and had an extendable barrel, a lot like the RF 70-200, that would be incredible. I would happily give up the internal zooming and the better weather sealing and dust sealing in exchange for a smaller package, kind of like these two. I don't even know if that's possible though, since the lens is going from 24 millimeters all the way up to 105 with the constant 2.8 aperture, but it would be nice. The other big downside is the price. This thing is $3,000. Now, I'm not appalled by that. I mean, the RF 24 to 70 is $2,400 and the 28 to 70 is $3,100, so that one's even more expensive, but it's still a lot of money. That being said, this lens is giving you a huge focal range and it's doing it at a 2.8 aperture. So if you're able to sell off some of your other lenses because this one will take their place, it might be worth doing. I do find it kind of annoying that you can't fully remove the tripod collar though. You can take the foot off, but the spinny ring part stays on the lens. I'm sure it makes it much faster to put it on and take it off that way, but it means that I'm carrying around extra weight that I don't need. And this lens is heavy enough as is. I'll probably never use that foot anyway, so it's kind of annoying that I'm stuck with this metal ring around the lens that I just can't do anything with. Overall, I think this is an incredible lens, and it really makes me excited about what Canon and other lens manufacturers will create in the future. The Tamron 35 to 150 and Canon's 28 to 70 f2 are kind of in the same boat. They're breaking boundaries and essentially giving us multiple lenses in a single package, and I'm all for it. I very much want to get this lens. I'm all about having a simplified and minimal setup, so this lens fits very well into that framework. It's just so freaking big. And it kind of crushes my dreams of having a lightweight rig. I mean, the C70 already is crushing those dreams quite a bit, but this lens definitely isn't helping things. I think I probably will end up getting this at some point. It's such a perfect second shooter lens with the C70s, but I probably won't be doing it anytime soon. I think that $3,000 price tag will be mocking me for quite a while. Okay, bye.